Hi there, welcome back to the Apatros Review. In this episode, which I'm doing on Leap Day, the 29th of February of 2020, this episode I'm looking at the film The Monk, not to be confused with the Tony Shalhoub comedy The Monk, which is a TV show that came out a decade ago, 20 years ago. Instead, I'm looking at a film called The Monk from 1969, which is a failed telepic pilot, directed by George McCowan in 1969. Now, I wish I could say that being a public domain title, The Monk would have been available on several bargain basement labels, but strangely enough, this one's pretty damn rare. The only copy I could find of the film was on a cheap 10-film box set issued by Flashback Entertainment. The quality of the print is average at best, but clean enough to make out what is going on to fit the decent standards Flashback prides itself on, unlike its chief rival Payless Entertainment, which usually puts out films without doing much in the way of remastering them in the slightest. You won't find any supplement with this print except for 9 other films on the set. Now for the story. Korean War veteran, avowed pacifist, and unlicensed private eye Gus Monk has just returned from a trip where he protected a young draft dodger from being picked on and getting paid for such protection, to San Francisco where he meets a potential new client in Leo Barnes, who wants to hire Monk to protect an envelope containing incriminating information on mafia boss Danny Kozenko for a few days. Of course, Monk has a reputation for working he works for a buck, but at least he gets a pick who pays him. But Monk initially refuses, utterly offended by the idea of working for a mafia lawyer. But he changes his mind when Barnes sends his wife Janice to reach out to him. Janice here is played by Janet Leigh. Promptly afterwards, Monk is attacked by two of Gazenko's goons, but manages to keep the envelope safe from them. But the goons catch up with Monk and Barnes when they decide to meet to discuss a way forward. Monk is knocked out, while Barnes is tortured inside his car. Gazenko is brought in for questioning, and the envelope is found in the hideout of one of Monk's homeless friends when Monk visits him. Utterly disturbed at how easily the mafia boss is caught, Monk is then blindsided when Gazenko forces him to work for the mobster in order to track down the two goons who claim stole a large sum of money from around $1 million from an unreachable. Given 24 hours to locate the goons and recover the money, Monk begins to realize that another private detective witnessed Barnes' death and that somebody else is playing them against each other. Now, the late 1960s was a formative time for the telepic market. The Western-oriented TV shows that would dominate the TV landscape were beginning to fade away, and a lot of demand for more modernist TV programming was beginning to manifest. The Monk, a 1969 telepic which was meant to be the pilot for a new TV show, was produced by Aaron Spelling, the king of the daytime television, and based on characters created by Blake Edwards, man responsible for the Pink Panther movies, was unfortunately one of the unsuccessful ones, that right after its premiere broadcast was little seen and rendered relatively obscure. Even tracking down a surviving printer was a pretty tough task. Luckily for me, I found my copy of one of those cheap 10-film box sets of Flashback used to put out in the early 2000s. You can find these sets in practically any flea market or cheap second-hand DVD dealer, and for cheap too. Now, while it remains an obscure and very hard to track down telepic, despite being in public domain for essentially half a century, the Monk, when finally seen, is actually an interesting career of a failed TV pilot. The central character of the Korean War veteran and pacifist Gus Monk, well played by George Maharis, an actor who is in pretty much a few of these. He was also in Murder on Flight 502, if you want to look at the Farrah Fawcett telepics, and it was something of a rising star until his career suffered a fatal setback when her gay close friend died and things of suspicion were suddenly pointed at him in regards to his questions about his personal sexuality, is an interesting choice for a TV hero, and well into topical territory given that opposition to the Vietnam War, which was going well on at the time, but right before opposition turned serious up following the Tet offensive that the Viet Cong conducted, which really turned the war into an insane situation. But George McCowan, strangely enough, fumbles the ball and turns some of the potentially impactful content into mildly routine mode. The film is talky and not much tends to happen. Monk gets hired, tracks down witnesses, some of them end up dead, and complications arise when the mob boss forces him to work for his side in order to recover some missing loot. The climax is strangely too brief and unsatisfying, with Monk driving a car recklessly in order to foil the mob enforcer he's been after, resulting in the goon dying when the car finally crashes, but Monk survives just barely without so much as a scratch. The payoff is also very weak. Having said all that, the film does feature an interestingly eccentric collection of oddball supporting characters, from the homeless drunk living in a dilapidated building in order to die of hamburgers and whiskey, the police detective friend who lets Monk in on questioning suspects, the Asian dry cleaner who supplies information when needed, even down to the pet cat that drinks beer on demand and doesn't mind the action going on in the background. I was finding myself enjoying this film in a modest sense, even though the film isn't a particularly great example of late 1960s telepics, only a modestly eccentric one. If you do manage to find a copy of this film and are interested in oddball, semi-parody private detective yarns, this will be an amusingly strange addition to your personal DVD collection. Mind the quality of the print though. Now for the gore report. A guy gets scalding water in his face, another is killed in a car crash, and a mob lawyer is burned alive in his car. Despite the decent body count for a 1960s telepic, there is no gore, given the standards of the time. As for nudity, nope, no nudity here. Remember what era this thing is made in. Some mention of adultery though. I've decided to award The Monk with the rating of C+, which is a 5 out of 10 rating, meaning it's a passable film that provides some amusement to many fans of the sort of thing, and a decent time killer for casual viewers. Be warned though, if you're the MTV generation ADD afflicted type who can't stand slow paced films, this might test your patience a bit. The more patient of us, like me, out there will be laughing at you and be relaxing with this one. Not exactly action packed, given the type of film we're talking about here, but a mild twist and unusual atmosphere will provide plenty of brain exercise. And plenty of amusement too. Anyway, that's it for this review. Hope you enjoy your leap day.